Good evening to you all. We would like to welcome you to our first X-Fest this year. My name is Charles Kabinji, and this is the Uganda Society of Architects, first episode of the X-Fest. Now, for those of you that are listening to us from X, and those that are watching us in the recorded video, we thank you for sparing time to be here. With us in this room, we are hosted by Casabella here on 4th Street industrial area in their showroom, and with our technical people that you can't see behind the camera, we thank you too for your presence here. Now, this year Uganda Society of Architects is celebrating 60 years of its, since it was instituted in Uganda, and as part of this celebration, we are celebrating women in architecture for the work they've done and the dedication they've had to the profession. So I would like to welcome and invite you to welcome with me architect Catherine Muyinda and architect Namagulu. Thank you so much for being here. Now, for our theme that we are looking at, the investment versus extravagance in interior finishes. Often, you enter rooms, you enter a design space and ask yourself, what is it that catches your attention? Is it the walls? Is it the floor? Is it the ceiling? Are they the lights? Is it the texture of the furniture? Today we are going to hear from industry experts and understand what this is all about, what interior spaces, design is all about. With me, again, I will tell you that I've had the opportunity of working with both of these amazing ladies. Architect Namagulu has taught me at Makerere University, and I have had the privilege of working with architect Catherine Muyinda when she was honorary secretary of Uganda Society of Architects. They've been classmates, and you can see that with this relationship, they have a shared understanding of interior spaces. Both of them have also been council members of the East African Institute of Architects, and you can see that with this experience they are the best people we could have as we're celebrating Women in Architecture 60 this year. So I'll briefly ask our panelists today, to each one of us under a minute, tell us how uniquely is their work linked to interior finishes, the extravagance of interior finishes, or the beauty in interior finishes, and how does their work fit in this?
Good evening, viewers, those of us who are online. Architect Catherine Muyinda, my name. I've been in the field for more than 20 years, and I have served, as Clever has said, as the honorary secretary for 2 terms of the Uganda Society of Architects. I handed over last year, and I'm a council member currently at the East African Institute of Architects, and I am the female representative for Uganda at the African Union of Architects. Concerning the topic today, extravagance, I don't know if I want to call it extravagance, because when you go into extravagance, you want to go into the field of money. But I want to say that interior design is a very critical aspect of any design works that are supposed to be undertaken on a project, which is many times ignored. And at the end of the day, because it's not put in the budget, leads to escalations. However, if it's considered at the start of the project, it can give you a beauty, so that when you look at the exterior and the interior, they marry with the language, because interior design is branding who you are. If it's for residential, if it's for industrial, you're branding the company. So it's a very critical element of design. That's what I can say.
I'm happy to see that we have some people online. We're not just here seated by ourselves. Yeah. So like yes, Kathy said, and like you mentioned, Clever, we were classmates at Makerere University, and so I also, like Kathy, have over 20 years experience in architecture. I have married it with interior design over the years, with furniture design and fabrication over the years. And I can say that yes, when you have interior design married with architecture at the beginning, you're able to manage costs very well. Yeah, you're able to manage costs very well, and you're able to marry the design, the vision. Let's say yes, like if I should say the vision of the big picture of the building externally and the inside. But we also know that there are many projects where maybe you just design a building, a huge building, an office building or a commercial building, and then there are different spaces on the inside which are designed differently because they're going to be taken up by different users. Yeah, and then we also have later refurbishment, so changes in the use of buildings or spaces, or upgrading a space, and all of that on the inside normally happens under the umbrella of interior design. Yeah. So they're very critical in the beginning of a project when you've designed a building, as Kathy said, but also very critical when you're changing the use of buildings, when you're refurbishing buildings over time, when you're rebranding, when users are changing and so forth.
Okay, thank you very much. I see from your standpoint that you talk about the importance of a client having an architect as part of their design process and development, and you mentioned the crucial importance of interiors in marketing and as well in promoting a brand. So I would like to understand from you, Architect Christine, with your experience in interior design, furniture design, could you tell us what the difference and help our audience understand what the difference is between interior designing and interior decoration? And who are the key persons that even handle these aspects?
And many clients ask that question, and many times clients can also come to you and just say, I just want you to just touch up a little, just make the place look beautiful. Basically what they're trying to say is, I want you to interior decorate. But then sometimes they really understand, or you can help them understand the need that they have, and it falls more on the technical side. So interior design is more technical and strategic. It's helping you brand, it's helping you make the space functional, it's helping you get value for your money in the materials you choose, in all the different things that come together, that they work with the vision of the space or the architecture. But interior decoration is more like, the aesthetic, the final touches, the setup, the final setup. Yeah, so interior decoration can also go in like stage design can also be technical, yeah. But there are some aspects. Actually, one of the fundamentals, like the layman distinction between the two, is that one, it deals with technical and fixed aspects, fixed furniture, fixed fittings and things like that. While that's interior design, while decoration deals with movable aspects, yeah. And so even interior design is more, and there's more liability there as a designer on interior design, because the cost is much higher and you're dealing with more permanent features. While in interior decoration, you're dealing with things that could change tomorrow. You could move it's about where you place things, the colors of things and things like that. Soft furnishings, yeah, which could change a lot easier.
Sure. Thank you very much for pointing that out. Now I do understand it as well. And to point this to Architect Catherine, you as an architect, may you tell us how your work as an architect marries into interior design? And for a client, how can they best leverage on your skills, expertise as a client, as an architect? And of course, Architect Christine mentions liability. Could you throw in more light on those aspects?
Thank you. I think I'll use the most recent project that I have been engaged in. And I'll touch the liability aspect. Simply, liability, any professional, an architect should have professional indemnity. And so it's beautiful when they are an architect and they're involved in your project, because already, as a professional, they carry a certain liability onto the project if they have the professional indemnity. Now, recently we were involved in a project by a client, and they were quite very detailed. You know, an architect studies the psychology of a person. And so when you sit down to discuss with whoever you're going to do interior design, you already study the personality, whether they're traditional, we're doing a residential house. So we sat into several meetings, and we ended up giving the client a mood for every room. This is us designing every space, right from the lounge, kitchen, guest rooms, the toilets, the children's bedrooms. Each of those spaces for them, they wanted them to tell a story. And even now, when people go to that house, they can tell the difference. That you see, this is a space that was designed by an architect. It has brought more clients because we were able to translate what the client felt they needed in their home into space or spaces. So architecture and interior design are very, very intertwined. It's something very many people think that they can do on their own, but the architect studies a lot of things: color psychology, the personality of the people who are going to live in a space, the branding of for example, if it's a company or it's an industrial project, and then you're able to translate that into the interior modification, interior design. That's what I can say, that it's very, very critical. And when you're on the site, you have protected the site professionally. So the client doesn't have to worry about a lot of things, and because they're dealing with a professional, then you're able to advise on a professional angle. What materials, what is available in market. We were involved with that stage. We actually got into all that detail, the tiling, the colors, the lighting. So when we went and saw the final product, we were all very happy with the contractor and the client. They even called us for housewarming, which never happens. Yeah.
You've mentioned key aspects within that process you had with that client that speak towards the considerations one is to have within the design process. I want to throw this to actually Christine. When a client is taking charge of a process, could you tell us, because some of them opt to go and purchase these finishes themselves without professional help, how can clients be supported to make better decisions while choosing these finishes within this process?
Clients can be supported in a number of ways. The first thing I think an interior designer and an architect or both should be willing to do every time they have a project is to educate. Let's say, to educate the client and maybe other people that they are working with, because the profession of interior design has been a little bit obscure because we've been lumped up with decorators, which is okay because it's a part of, but most people just think it's just that. And so you need to educate the client on the technical, especially the technical aspects of interior design, because an interior designer needs to be able to read architectural drawings and drawings from other specialties, from mechanical and electrical engineers. You need to understand what those drawings mean in order to, because those are specialties you have to work with. You have to work with a structural engineer. You won't just come and say, break this column. So you're going to have to advise your client, educate your client on a few of these things. Just take a crash course as you're working on what they will need. Yeah, and then also I have to say that interior design is, because you're dealing with details and tiny elements of the bigger picture, there is a lot of detailing and a lot of documentation that takes place, which sometimes the clients might think is unnecessary. Yeah, a client really needs to go with some form of documents to guide them so that they're not all over the place, because the options on the market right now are so many. Yeah, and as you're guiding them through the options, first of all, it needs to fit the overall vision, but also you need to think about the longevity of this project. Yeah, is it a temporary project? Is it, what kind of space is it? Is it a medical space? And so you're thinking about details. So depending on the type of project, you need to advise the client on how much or what they will need. You can't take chances with a medical project. You can't, because even the finishes that you use have to take into consideration that they should not cause the patient to become sicker. Yes, there's a lot of that. You have to think about maintenance. You don't want to give the client something, then after some time they're struggling to maintain it, to keep it. The costs are getting higher and higher. So you have to think about that. But it begins from you advising your client or educating your client a bit. We have to all be willing to do that. That's where I think you would start from. And then, of course, you help them with creating budgets, with selecting between options. Yeah. You would need to tell the client why this thing that has caught their eye that looks beautiful might not work with the concept. Yeah, of course, we have to be humble. We can't look like we know everything. The client might want to spend their money because they made it, but you want to guide them in, at every step. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And again, for those of you that are listening to us, we are at Casabella, and in this showroom there are lots of finishes. For those that will see this video recording, will get to appreciate that. And over to you, Catherine. We have had, any of us as a client, developer, architect, has had an experience where they hit hiccups while they are selecting these finishes, while they are choosing them. Could you tell us that where is the line drawn on an interior finish being an extravagance or an investment? And if, like architect Christine has mentioned, that there are many key considerations to make, how would you advise a client or even an architect when they are choosing these finishes in terms of cost or in terms of other key considerations that they would have to make? And we know as well that architects serve on projects as project managers if they get the opportunity to work through with a client to completion. Now, tell us on that aspect how you would help a client better prepare for the finishing stage of a project.
Now, interior design depends on so many factors. What does the client want to achieve? Is it the home? Is it branding? Is it style? It's just a normal finish. Because then all those aspects will define the budget. So you see companies like Pepsi or Coca-Cola putting in a lot of money because for them branding is key. They have to make the sales. So they'll go 100 miles to ensure that their showrooms, their spaces have proper interior design done. MTN, for example, as well as a company. So the bottom line is drawn by what the particular person or client wants to achieve. If it is a company, they want to achieve a target sales. For example, we're in Casabella showroom. They can't just put a showroom and not brand it with the kind of finishing that they expect a certain client to come and buy. See, but when you get into a home, if you want a certain ambience, if the home exterior looks very beautiful, then you want to give that into the interior. So the client must be willing to understand, this is my budget threshold. Tell the architect, this is how far I can go, what can I have with this? And many times when you look at the budget threshold, you tell them this will not do for you what you exactly want, because the exterior of your house is very beautiful. You don't want to have an interior which looks very unmarried from what you have on the exterior. Then let's handle one space and we take it in phases so that you can be able to have the whole property defined by you. There are those who are willing. I have a client who came to me and said to me, even if it takes me 2 years to do the design, I am very okay with it. I want to transform this place. So they've given themselves that allowance for the creators, us the architects, to sit down, think through everything, and then advise them on the budgets, and then now they can go full throttle. So as an architect should be able to have that communication with their client. What is your budget? What do you want to achieve? And then that will be like the starting baseline where you start to get into the design when you know, or both people, the architect and the client, know what they want to achieve. So a lot of interaction happens along the way, and many times when the interaction has been very positive from both fronts, you're able to achieve the desired product. So it's something that any professional who does, whatever they do, you should not go and first design and then come back to consult the client. How much do you have? You start with the client. What is the need? What do you want? And then we start the brainstorming with the different options that will achieve the quality of the space you want to achieve. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for throwing the ball to the architects to know, and those that aspire for this profession to know the considerations they have to keep in mind. Now, we are celebrating 60 years of architecture, of the Uganda Society of Architecture here in Uganda. And I would like to hear from you, Dr. Christine, that what are the new emerging technologies in interior design finishes? Well, we have seen different modifications, and architecture has evolved over the years. How are the new trends, these catchy Instagram looks, changing and affecting interior design?
Yeah, Pinterest is our friend. It has been our friend for a while, and it has brought to us so many trends. But generally, I think trends depend on the function of the space. Yeah, starting there. Trends depend on the function of the space. Trends also depend on the economy. Yeah, because you might want something that is excellent, like everyone would want to get materials from Casabella, but you have to be willing to pay for that material. Yeah, because you will not get value without putting in value. Same thing with if you're looking for a professional, you'll get value when you put in value. So one of the things that I've seen that is really growing is that we are now using local materials. We are using local materials, especially with timber and boardwork. Those are locally made here. The imported ones are also there, but a lot of local materials are being used in that field, in different timbers and different board materials and as finishes. For tiles, for example, we haven't yet gained a very good capacity locally, and so of course we're still dealing with imported tiles. The trends in that area have been mostly, if you want longevity, to deal with Italian and Spanish tiles. And I'm not saying that just because we are here, but I can tell you that most clients come when they're already knowledgeable about that. They know, and they know that, they've traveled. Many clients have traveled, the ones who are enlightened about interior design, and so they already know some of these things. They know about materials, longevity, and so like Kathy said, you need to listen to your clients. So you can't just go by the general trends just because things look good. We have suppliers of materials that look good, but they do not last beyond the end of the project, So, yeah, trends. I can say that one of the other trends perhaps is that people are also, many of the projects that I've worked on, clients are embracing a minimalistic style of design where you don't have 5 types of tiles in a space. Actually, most of the projects that we're doing, where we're doing renovations, we are trying to get people from that, because now when they look at what they did like some 10 years ago with enough different types of tiles in one space, they are disturbed, and so that they are calling for renovation and change. So, and clients are embracing minimalism, having one type of finish in a wider space, which also makes the space feel much bigger. So the trends that are being adopted come with because people have traveled, and so they are picking things from all over, because people are embracing local materials a lot more, and also because some of those historical ways of doing things have really, really changed, and so people are keen and they are more aware. Actually, the interior design space is becoming more and more occupied, if I should say. Yes, it was a very lonely space like just 10 years ago. Interior design was a very lonely space, but now there are many schools even teaching interior design, and they teach all the different types, or ways in which you can style a space. And then you can't just follow trends. You also have to listen to the client. What do they need? And then you serve them in that manner.
That's very good information for our clients and the developers who are creating these interior spaces. You've hinted on the trends and you've explored how we should be cognizant of these finishes and these materials. I want Architect Catherine, to tell us these finishes that are trending. I know that they have key considerations about durability, and we are not only talking about floors, we are talking about walls, we're talking about ceilings, we're talking about lighting. What are those key pointers you can give to our audience about tiles, about MDF boards, about wallpaper, when they are considering to use them in their spaces?
For example, I'll touch one aspect, flooring. If you go into a school, the school will need hardware material. Just say. So you cannot go and begin to specify tiles. You specify terrazzo. Long lasting, the edges can be easily cleaned. You can work that material, the terrazzo. So that's a consideration, the type of facility. If it's a school, then you begin to tell the client, for areas that are going to expect traffic, we will not do your tiles, they're going to give you hardware material, terrazzo. If you go industrial, then you start mentioning products like epoxy, because epoxy can be applied for a big area, and it's hard wearing, it's chemical resistant, all those things. So the consideration of the space usage is a key factor in choice of material. If you're going to have a kitchen and people are going to be cooking food, you will not specify MDF board, because it will be chipping off all the time. So you tell them, let's get into hardwood. Get hardwood timber or granite tops, things that will enable the space be utilized. Because you're looking at this client using the space not only for 1 year, having a renovation at least in 5 or 10 years to come. So that if they put in a lot of money in the interior design aspect, then they're not going to call you after 1 year to modify. So the the type of space that you're planning for, the usage, and the type of material that will be applied for the space are very key factors in the choice of the materials to use in the space.
Yes, over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much for the session. Thank you for also being part of this discussion as well. Just to go directly to the questions that you've asked. For us in Casabella, we've mentioned there's some words or terminologies that we've mentioned that I believe are crucial, but at the same time are worth emphasizing on. Some of them are like a word such as investments. Okay. So before I continue, my name is Paul, and I work here at Casabella. And for me, the interaction that I've had with colleagues, with clients, with architects, interior designers, quantity surveyors, the question of investment or what the client is investing into really speaks a lot, because the question is, the investment is not only about just the money per se. The investment can be in terms of also the safety for a particular project. The investment can be in terms of the durability of the project. So I will discourage also for us to focus just the investment on the cost itself. Because now when I say safety and durability, this is the main things that for us as Casabella we focus on. And as architect Christine said, Italy is well known as one of the places in the country or in the world that are very good when it comes to producing tiles. But with that said, for us, when a client walks into the showroom, for instance, in any of our showroom, whether us interacting directly with the client or the architect, we start first of all, but just like how Christine does, we start by understanding exactly what does the client want, or what does the interior designer want, what does the architect want, what is the final goal, because then we get to walk them through. Now, the unique thing with us as Casabella is that each and every product that we have, each and every tile that we have, comes with a technical specification. Okay, so there is a science behind what we are selling ideally, and this science is what we freely give to as knowledge to our clients and to anyone with whom we interact with, because we want to make people move from a subjective way of looking at tiling, for instance, to an objective way. And this objective way, you have to have the facts, but besides this, you need to also what accompanies the facts is the quality, the assurance that whatever you're getting will actually work for you. With this said, for every particular product that we bring from Italy, whether tiles, whether adhesive, whether grouts, whether even the spacers, each of these products, despite them having a technical data sheet, they also have a certificate of compliance, something that we have to adhere to. And also, UNBS have to check our products from the point of origin to ascertain their quality. So before a product really arrives here in Kampala, for sure it has to go through some processes and which are usually legal per se, but to the point of discharging this product, we have the confidence that the product that we are giving to our clients, to our architects, to interior designers, can really stand the test of time. There's something also quite unique in Europe, and I would refer this to architects. For you to refer a product to a client, as something as sensitive as tiling, if an accident happens to that client, the client has the right to sue the architect who recommended that particular product. It is that serious. And for us, what we want to show is that besides the whole point of looking at a particular tile from the aesthetic point of view, let's look deeper into the qualities of the tile. This tile, yes, you touch a tile and then you say, I feel it cannot work in a bathroom. But we can show you through our technical specifications whether it or it cannot work. So when it comes to investments, let's look beyond the costs and look at the durability. Let's look at the safety and all these things. And this is what we want to provide, and we want to assure our clients and the architects as well.
And we do appreciate that kind of assurance. You have pointed at many things you as Casabella does, and it's unique. It's a unique service that you give to clients to not only give them good products, but to educate them about them. And that speaks into what our panelists have pointed to. To our online guests that are listening in, we again appreciate you for being present. And for those that are watching us later on, thank you for sparing this time. If we have any questions, I will call upon anyone that is interested to request to speak so that they can ask a particular question to our panelists here. You can direct it to anyone, or you can type it in the chat box and we will be able to respond to your question. Now, over to you, Architect Catherine, and then Architect Christine. Any parting shots for our guests here?
Thank you. The parting shots I would say is every project requires a good interior design to make it complete. So this is a cry out to the developers, not to shy away from architects, not to shy away from the people doing this work. Search for that good interior designer, get the quality advice, and then implement what you're knowledgeable of. It will save you a lot of headache and breaking of walls. To the student out there who is wondering, after architecture, what do I do? Architecture has a vast array of other things that can be done alongside the bachelor's. An architect can be an interior designer, they can go into fashion and many things, but today we're talking about interior design. What will push you is the passion that you want to see in that space. For example, if you decide to go for interior design, do you have the passion for it? Have you researched your work? Are you good at what you're doing? Then the money will come. So educate yourself, learn the craft. Be the person that will be called upon. If someone wants to do the interior revamps, whichever project they want to do, and it's an interior design aspect, you'll be the one they will think of. So first, brand yourself before you sell yourself. And then for our fellow architects out there, this is a shout out to our fellow architects to begin to market the interior design space, because it's a very good space for us as architects. You encourage, if you're on a project, you tell the client that we can also do the interior design. Or you can call a colleague who is very good at interior design, and then you do a collab on that project. Those would be my parting shots. Thank you.
Let me go back to the topic. The title was the investment versus extravagance of interior finishes, or interior design. I think in order for you to determine whether it's an investment or an extravagance, you might not be able to see it on day one, because you can get someone who might be good at putting things together because they have seen them in the places they've traveled, but you need more knowledge than just putting things together aesthetically. You need what Paul has been talking about. You need to know the technical aspect of the materials you're putting together, because the difference between investment and extravagance will come in the longevity of your project. Yeah, what value are you giving the client over time? That is what is going to determine. Yeah, you tell them it will last 10 years and then it lasts 2. Yeah, so they are able to see, because they will put you could put in equal amounts of money. I have seen clients who have a lot of money, and when you enter the space, you know they spent money. Yeah, but it is very sad that it was an extravagant spend most of the times, because you can see that there was no thought behind the actual long life of that project. First of all, when you have so many things put together, even if they are too much, it's like too much sugar in tea. Yeah, it's too sweet. You won't be able to take it. You won't be able to finish a full cup with 7 spoons of sugar. Yeah, and so extravagance is not what makes a space beautiful. A space can look as simple as possible, but if it will last long and also cost you less and less to maintain. If your maintenance costs are also through the roof, then it might not be a good or worthwhile investment. So, yeah, investment or extravagance will depend on whether you've put your money to good use. Some people feel like they're wasting money when they pay a consultant. They are very willing to buy a chair for 6 million shillings, but not to pay a consultant to sit down with them and advise them for 6 million shillings. Yeah, but they will buy that chair quickly, which chair might break down in a few years. because they've seen it, it looks beautiful, and so I think I want to encourage our. I don't even know. I pray that this is the platform, but I think we need to make more noise about encouraging people so that they can get more value out of out of the investment they make in their interiors. They need to use a professional, and they should be willing to pay that professional as much as they are willing to pay for the physical items that they're saying. That would be my charge.
I remind you that I've attended that this is our first episode of X Spaces this year. This year, the Uganda Society of Architects celebrates 60 years of architecture in Uganda, and we will be having many of these series. And as well, we will be celebrating alongside our affiliates, associates, and the people that we work with in the built environment. We thank you very much for following us here on X, and call upon you to also follow us on our other pages on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and as well on our YouTube, where this video is going to be uploaded. To our guests, thank you so much for honoring the invitation and sharing with us your vast knowledge, time, and experience.